The understanding of the hardware pieces that are needed are probably the hardest part of dealing with JamKazam. They really are. And we're going to go through in the next few slides to really detail the hardware needed, and then we're going to show you step by step, click by click, what to do on the app.
Yeah, I see this comment about the hardest part is getting the latency to work. You know, the truth is I've had very little trouble with it, and I think it's because I did get a good interface that is well known to work well with JamKazam, and I did get a fast internet connection, and up to now my computers have worked great. So, you know, I haven't had a problem with latency. In fact, I'm constantly surprised by how low it is, and even if it looks higher numerically, how tight the sound actually is. I'm kind of shocked. So I was just going to say, if you don't have an audio interface but you happen to have a mixer, check the list because a few mixers have been found to work. You'll need a USB cord, commonly called a printer cord, and there are an A to B, a USB A to B cord or a printer cord to connect the interface to your computer. That's usually included with the interface, but check ahead. The microphone, obviously, to capture your pure sound as perfectly as possible and send that analog signal to the interface version to digital. It has to be corded, no wireless, with a standard XLR connector, like the classic vocal mic you've all used in clubs, the Shure SM58. That requires a specific cable, XLR to XLR, long enough to reach you from you to your audio interface. That'll be provided or available by any place you buy the microphone. And this may be a point to mention the alternative setup that David's been referring to. You're not supposed to be able to do this, but as I found out first with Karen Mason, with an up-to-date MacBook, it may be possible to plug a good USB mic, such as a Blue Yeti, directly into the computer and avoid the need entirely for an XLR mic or an audio interface. Now, that's a tricky thing to say because what happens is the Yeti acts as a tiny interface. You know, this may lead to latencies that are higher than optimal, but I've seen cases like with Karen where the results were amazing, 9 milliseconds. This can't be done with a PC because the PC's native drivers don't work at all with JamKazam, and it needs an interface. You need headphones. They have to be corded headphones, not Bluetooth or whatever, with a 1/4 inch plug to fit the headphone jack on the interface. The headphones, if they only have those tiny plugs that you plug into your side of your computer or your phone or something, then there are these little tiny adapters that just convert 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch. They're little tiny things. I actually have one right over here, I think. Yeah, they look like that. Little tiny thing that just pops from the end of one into this goes into the headphones. So that's an easy thing to get for $4. And you need an Ethernet cord. I would recommend category 5E or 6 or higher in case you get faster internet speeds eventually. As I said before, if your computer doesn't have one of those, you have to buy an adapter called a USB 3.02 Ethernet adapter. And make sure your cord you buy is long enough to reach from your router to your modem to your computer. Just being perhaps overly thorough, I have one other point. Some people have to buy a USB hub or dongle or whatever they call it. That's with the most modern computers that somehow have fewer USB ports or require more of them. Just be aware of how many you need and how many you have on your new computer. You'll need one for the Ethernet adapter if you don't have an Ethernet port. Some computers need it for the power cord, and you'll need one for your audio interface. Maybe even for your mouse, I don't know. So just make sure that you know how many you need. And as the screen says, optionally, I'm not going to get into it, but you may want an HD webcam, or you may want a ring light to illuminate your face. That's beyond the scope of what we're doing today. So let's go into detail about setting up for the program. So the first thing you do on your computer, obviously, yes, plug the power cord of the computer in and turn it on. Then close all non-essential programs and background services on your computer. That's important in order to give all the processing power
Chris,
to
can you
the
just take a
program.
look at your
Yeah.
wire? Maybe you could just, maybe your wire is loose on your
Anyway.
mic or something.
If you don't understand something, let somebody know and I'll repeat it, and I'm sorry about that. So after closing non-essential programs, make sure your Ethernet cord is plugged in. Turn off your Wi-Fi and your Bluetooth completely. Once Wi-Fi is off, this is sort of a little tricky hint. Make sure your Ethernet connection is recognized and active. Again, on some of the newest computers, and I found this with Macs, sometimes it's just not recognized. There's a procedure to fix it. Just Google it, you'll find it. If you're on Windows, there are ways that you need to customize your power plan. The app will actually ask you to set it for high performance. It's on the screen. I don't think I'll go into it verbally. It'll make people crazy. It's going to ask you to customize your power plan to high performance. You can Google that or just follow the direction on the screen. Now, always with a PC and occasionally with a Mac, it's necessary to download what's called a driver to make the audio interface work at its best. As I said before, a driver is a piece of software that lets the operating system control and operate a device. So the way you do that is just go to the manufacturer's product page for your interface and go to the download section or driver section and find the one that's listed for your particular device, your interface, and your operating system. Once you've downloaded the driver, you've plugged in the interface, and it should be functioning properly.
Okay, now
this is
take
what an
that in,
interface.
folks. Yeah, take that in, because that's a scary looking little machine there, right? It's literally 5 inches big.
And
So
this
don't
is
wait.
one of the scarier looking ones, which is why I thought it might be good to put up here to sort of get it over with. The only things here you need to know really right now are that those two inputs are for microphones or cords from direct inputs from instruments. And you plug, if you're only using one mic, you plug it into input 1 on the left. And the volume for input 1 is gain 1, just slightly to the right of that. And that will control the signal that you send out that other people can hear. You will, I'm not going to go through all of the line and stereo and pad stuff. I don't think I need to. The phone's knob on the right is what controls what you hear in your headphones. Nothing to do with other people. They don't hear anything based on how you may change that. The other thing you have to know about, and it's called by different names, but the program will mention it. It's called direct monitoring. And what that means is there's a setting, there's either a button or a dial that can sometimes advantageously let you hear what's going from your mic to your interface and right back to you. It doesn't actually even travel to the computer and go into the program. You're hearing an immediate response sound. That's not what you don't want. You want to hear what's going through JamKazam, and also the people that you're playing with, you need to hear the sound coming from JamKazam. So the thing you have to do is turn off direct monitoring. Sometimes it's just a button that says direct monitoring on, off. In this case, it's something called mix, which can be either IN internal or PB playback, and you turn it all the way to the right for playback. And that is as much as you need to know about any front panel of an interface. The back of the interface, it's much simpler. I'm only going to show it so that you know that it has MIDI ports. And if you have a MIDI keyboard, if you do work electronically on a keyboard, then all you have to know is that you're going to use a standard MIDI cable, 5-pin MIDI cable, and plug it into the MIDI out port on the back of your computer. So the sound comes out of your computer into the MIDI in port here. And the other things don't matter right now. You don't need to know about phantom power. That's only used for a different kind of mic than an SM58, things called condenser mics. And then you connect your headphones to the 1/4-inch headphone jack on the front of the audio interface.
I would like to say that if you are going to get the Sweetwater bundle, which is about $200, that microphone is a condenser microphone, so you would turn on phantom power for that. And if you plug in a mic into one of these and it doesn't work and you can't hear yourself, and it kind of looks kind of fat, not like the Shure mic that we all hold in the club, but it's a little fat. That may be a condenser mic. So if you turn on phantom power, it'll turn on in like 30 seconds. Give it a minute, okay? And that is what that is for.